Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the League Zero Super Formula Championship once again as we approach the halfway mark in our season. In fact, at halfway point in tonight's proceedings, we will be halfway in another season of the League Zero Super Formula Series. Myself and Larry back again with Team Biggles this week at Spa, which is another European circuit in this little European leg of the season we've got going on through the middle. Donington and Hockenheim still to come in this portion of the season after the one race at Imola last week, the first of two one-race evenings. So back to two races here today. And good to be back alongside you for this one, Biggles. It's going to be a return to the old format. And as ever with Spa, it has been raining. Not anymore, it isn't, but it has been raining. And you can see the spray being kicked up by these wet tyres, still being used across the board by the drivers. And it looks like they will still be using them for some time, looking at the conditions at the moment.
Will be very interesting, Ewan, to see whether or not it's going to be dry just enough there for the start of the race, or will they have to start the race? I've been watching those drivers during the practice session. It's certainly very tricky, as we can actually just see at the moment. Sajay just really chucking that car around here in Spa. But it's, I don't know. I mean, Fitzsimmons looks very strong in these conditions. How's it going to pan out when we get back to dry? It's only a matter of time. I can't see any rain on the forecast just yet. No,
but, you know, sometimes the session jumps forward, doesn't it, a bit when we get to the race, so we'll just have to see. Like dear, look at that. Yeah. That is the danger, isn't it, of wet weather here at Spa. That was a big incident through Pouon. That's exactly what can happen. Dear, oh dear. Zuhair back to pit lane, and that will be the end of his session, you would imagine. Philly Fitzsimmons currently the pole sitter, by the way. Just before we get to the race, though, let's show you the championship standings at the start of today. And despite losing a few points to a few championship rivals last week, Elliott Court is still leading the way by 27 points over Noddy ML. Jaden Callaway is down to third after last week, with Adam Merchant up 6 places. He won the one race, of course. Elliott Rolls finishes, or indeed stays 5th place, the only driver to stay where he is in the top 20. Fabian Sanchez just 7 points behind him, with Gonzalo Perez losing positions again there. Sashi Zuhair, Philly Fitzsimmons and JT Smitten rounding out the field here tonight. Only 4 of the top 7 have been at all the rounds so far. 6 of the top 9 and 6 of the top 10, in fact. So not too many have been here every single time. You can certainly notice the ones who have been. Callaway missing out on not a single round so far, and he's indeed going to start from the back here again tonight as well, if indeed he does start. But losing the championship lead, it's Elliott Court who certainly has control over that now, with 27 points over Noddy ML, who has missed a round of the championship and therefore 2 races, but he's there or thereabouts. He's 2.5 seconds away though in this qualifying session, and I wonder whether Bianchi indeed will further his troubles. Indeed he does. Bianchi moves up to 5th place. Noddy ML really quite a long way down in 9th.
There's dry tyres for you. Leo's the only one who gambled on them at the moment. He can't even keep that car on the track. So that's a good indication to the rest of this field. If we go, that's it. We'll be wrapping it up at the moment that qualifying's done. It's a bit of a different qualifying order here this evening, mate. And what's going to be interesting to see what sort of tyres that they slap on. But first of all, let's get the grid.
Yeah, let's see, as Philly Fitzsimmons will take the grid from the front. Sashi Zuhair will be alongside, and only driver within a second of pole there. Then it's Robert Nobles, who's ahead of Adam Merchant. Antonio Bianchi and Elliott Rolls then are on row 3, ahead of Elliott Court and Fabian Sanchez. Noddy ML, as we've just been talking about, is 9th ahead of Leo Delma, with Francisco Souza and Aaron Goschler, who rounds out row 6. Then next row back, it's Chase Meyer and Arturo Mayorga, the All-American row 7, ahead of James Turnbull and Nicholas Isidro. Ryan Thibault and Gareth McAllister on row 9, ahead of John Stumbra and Ricardo Espino. Carlos Balinas is the first driver outside the top 20, with Jaden Callaway, who will be driving. He didn't set a time in qualifying though, neither did Xavi Senev or Christian Ruckriegel. Hopefully they do actually take to the start, but lots of big decisions having to be made here, because as you say, on the tyres, I think, to be honest, especially if I was a championship contender, I'd be playing it safe on the wet tyres, looking at the wet patches at the moment. But some have gone for dries, it looks like, or at least are thinking about it down at the back.
I think that's going to be very, very risky, my friend. But considering the fact that Leo, who did go out there and try those dry tyres in the late part of qualifying, has switched over to wets currently at the moment. So he's thinking, no. A lot of the other field, well, they are changing their minds. There was a couple of drivers that elected to put the dryers on. They've called their team back out over the pit wall and said, no, give me some wets. But we do have, it looks like John, maybe Carlos, are on those dryers, but they are at the back of the field-ish, so it shouldn't be too much of a drama if they go off into turn one.
Yeah, they could be heroes and come through the field. I can't remember whether it was actually Spa last season as well, but we definitely had a race like this last season, where it was sort of like this, and a question mark over whether it was going to be dries or wets. I don't actually think it was Spa, but it might have been somewhere else. We've definitely seen this before in the League Zero Super Formula Championship, but it is always exciting when we do a wet dry race here from Spa. Race 1 gets underway, and immediately a slow launch off the line there from Zuhair, who doesn't really get away at all. Oh, there's trouble in the background already. A car in the air and a car in the barrier. There's a couple of the drivers who have on dry tyres struggled to get away. It looks like it's the wet tyres that are going to win out here, although it is a 6-lap race, of course, and we'll see what the likes of Stumbra and Balinas can do. Unfortunately, Isidro is already back to pit lane with Espino, who has already got a meatball flag. So has Turnbull. A couple of meatballs, unfortunately, up at the start of this race from the 22 starters as they go over the top of the hill for the first time. It's wet tyres from the top 16, and they're looking like the safer and correct call at the moment as Fitzsimmons leads the field into the second sector for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that. Oh! And Robert goes around, my friend, in a very dangerous position, as we said somewhere in the chat there, waiting for the big Eau Rouge crash at the start. We didn't get to Eau Rouge, actually, and there was some crash, but there it is. It's Robert going around. Elliot Rolls, it looks like, has gone around somewhere too, or at least parking it.
Meatball, so he has to come back to pit lane as well. And it rolls 5th place in the championship, is going to be dropping there again with some more bad luck. Unfortunately, 2 of the 3 dry tyre runners have already dropped back to pit lane. Carlos Balinas is a 2.5 seconds off the back of the field as well. So you get the feeling they were not the tyres to have as they come through the puddles again here. Bianchi on the move. He's on the outside of Sanchez, who's been making up places himself, but this time it's his turn to be overtaken. That was a move around the outside from Bianchi, very nicely executed. And he is up into 4th position, and Emel's trying to follow. He's made up 3 places as well so far, but can't make it a 4th that time.
Wow, what an overtake, and that's risky for the biscuit. You probably wouldn't do that in the dry line, but he elected to say, all right, yeah, I think there's some grip out there. There certainly is at the moment. Fitzsimmons up the road there already, as to be expected. I think he's going to be definitely the man to beat in this race this evening there, Ewan.
Yeah, certainly will be. Fitzsimmons leading by nearly a second at the end of the first lap. That's JT Smeaton, by the way, in the YouTube chat. Good evening to him once again. Hopefully we might see him at some point in the remainder of this season after he came and dominated at Indianapolis, and he's still 10th place in the championship as a result, but unfortunately he has not joined us since. But no, these are the way these things go sometimes as they come down the hill now. These guys again, Nonny Amel certainly looking better in race trim than he was in the qualifying session. Oh, big slide there at the bottom of the hill there from Sanchez, who's going to be eaten up by Nonny Amel. Now look at the momentum lost there by Fabian Sanchez. Nonny Amel goes right round the outside and goes straight through. We mentioned the potential for incidents through Eau Rouge and Radion. It very nearly happened there. Amel's on the button as well here as he tries to overtake Bianchi. He only gets close though before they come. He slides again. Oh, it's going to be a race of sliding about. More gravel being brought onto the circuit. Bianchi on the wrong line. And here comes Nonny Amel round the other side. He's going to get through to the inside line on the downhill right-hander. And surely he's going to go through here. He's looking strong in race trim, as I say, and he is up to 4th place.
And Elliot Court's coming back to the field there too. Gets a pass there on Sanchez, just behind these 2 drivers that are going for it too. For now, so fantastic racing we're seeing here. You can just see in the background, there's Leo Damas. He's the one that is starting to catch them. Brilliant. Look at this, trying to actually get some of the water out there so you can cool those tyres down. They must be absolutely blisteringly hot for wet weather tyres.
Yeah, it can't be particularly comfortable. Only 24 degrees Celsius on the track temperature, but it's more the lack of wet patches really that is going to be the problem. You see it just coming up to 1:30 in the afternoon in the middle of May, yes it is. And not raining anymore, and not projected to rain anymore either, but that doesn't matter at the moment when you see the conditions. Although it doesn't look very wet, you can see the spray still being kicked up, so I reckon it is probably a bit wetter than it actually looks we'll have to keep an eye on Balinas's times, especially because he's the only one left on dry tyres. The others have all had to pit with damage, unfortunately. Fitzsimmons still leads at the end of lap number 2, but it's this battle that's the exciting one. Not EML coming under fire this time after racing past and making some overtakes in the last few moments. Now he's the one under pressure.
See, a lot of drivers not using to use that push to pass essentially just yet. Maybe not. He was using it there to defend, but that's difficult too because they have rain lights essentially on these cars at the moment, so you can't really see unless we go on board. Elliott Court now up through a rouge, my friend. Wow, that's always is a heart and throat moment. He's got his overtake button on. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, and same for the lead as well, though. Merchant not close enough this time round to challenge Finley Fitzsimmons. What about Court on the back of Antonio Bianchi, who feels forced to defend on the way towards Lecombe this time? Court still got the button on. He's got to be very careful because the inside line there can often induce a bit of a slide, and he does indeed back out of it in the end as Elliott Court, who take the button off now, you'd imagine. It is not one of those circuits where you have to manage it super carefully, though, the push to pass. Obviously, you can use quite a lot of it and maybe surprise yourself by how quickly you get through it, but also you've got a long sort of cool down period that can be taken on throughout one lap. If you take it off through Lecombe, then by the time you get to La Source and certainly over the top at Radion on the next lap, you can start to use it again. So you can use it every lap in theory, which is different to some of the other circuits we've been seeing in recent weeks, like Imola and Red Bull Ring and Indianapolis especially, and Interlagos to effect actually. This is the first track really where you can feasibly use it every lap.
Absolutely. You can see that some of those cars weaving in the background. There's the Argentine driver, or Francisco. He's in 11th, started in 11th at the moment, trying to get of Aaron up the road there, right on his tailpipe. You can see Adam Merchant did put some pressure there on Fitzsimmons before. Let's see, he's going to come back again for another attack here in halfway through this race. And he's got JT out there going for him, that's for sure. So he's got a fan club for Adam, and he's up 2 places still in this race.
Yeah, he's on the back of a race win from Imola, and he performed pretty well at the other round he's done so far this season at the Red Bull Ring as well, as he catches by 2 tenths this time round as well. Into La Source over the halfway mark of this race, and Philly Fitzsimmons is under big pressure at the moment. The man who is currently 9th place in this championship, even though he's done every race so far this season, and he's won one of those 9 races that he's done so far this season. He's well behind Merchant. That just shows you the importance of consistency in good results here in this championship. No button used by Merchant this time. I'd imagine Fitzsimmons is using it to defend with, though, and he does have it available, Merchant, so deciding not to go for it this time into Lecombe, but he only needs a slipstream. He goes to the outside and he can't quite get through. Fitzsimmons goes wide. He'll be in that puddle, and Merchant's going to try and cut back here a little bit. There he goes to the outside through Malmedy. He's not going to manage that. It's a long way round, and he's off, in fact. He's off into the gravel. Is that going to give Fitzsimmons the chance to run away?
Whoa, yeah, there's a bit of battling because Noddy's actually got a slow down from that corner in the background. They are catching these two just now. You could see that when you go off that racing line, just how much you just get to no grip out there whatsoever. It was just sliding. He had to really fight that car to keep it just going and putting it in the right direction. Did cost him a bit of time. There's a battle everywhere at the moment, my friend.
Yeah, there absolutely is. And Elliott Court really does need to work his way into at least the top 5, because on these double race evenings, of which this is one, of course, you have to be in the top 5 to benefit from the reverse grid. That's the 5 that are reversed. And so it's always been a very small number in this series. It effectively keeps a similar field between race 1 and 2, but it would provide a big benefit for Elliott Court's evening if indeed he can get into that 5th position, which he's currently challenging for. And what has gone on back here? Gareth McAllister's missing his rear wing.
That's going to hurt. Yeah, exactly, for the Aussie. For last week's Not My Birthday GP sponsored. Wasn't his birthday, it's just a running joke. Look at this 3-way fight, mate. Elliott Court's in the mix here. Championship leader. Just to make sure you can secure some good points, of course, in this one. But where do you go at this point? You got Bianchi going off the track up the road there. He's trying to fight it out with Sajay. And then Sanchez is just spying on them in the background.
Yeah, well, I'll get to last week's Grand Prix name, and this week's indeed during the warm-up, by the way, between the 2 races, because well, we've got some things to discuss there, but anyway, out of Lassour's cuts on the button again here. You can just see him dipping below 2 minutes, I think that is, on the button now that he's got remaining, and that's just about the length of a lap around here. So if he takes it off through Les Combes, he can put it on for the last lap and leave it on all the way home as he gets into the slipstream of Sanchez now, who's not using it, and he's going to get the double whammy of the slipstream as O'Court, although he realises his mistake, does Bianchi. He tries to give it initially then to Zuhair, who's closing. They're both closing, in fact, on Bianchi. No way through. Caught on the outside. Oh, that puddle again. Oh, it makes it so difficult. Bianchi all over the place looking to control that car. And he just about does. He's still fourth. Court still can't find his way through either. He must be finding this quite frustrating.
Yeah, but we're finding it quite entertaining. So, yes, absolutely. Keep it up there, gentlemen. Good wheel-to-wheel racing, you'd have to say. A lot of these is just it's basically just trying to control a uncontrollable vehicle at this point, isn't it? Even with and they push that overtake button, and then all of a sudden you've got that extra kilowatt power into the corners, which you probably don't want to have at this point.
By the way, last time round, although it was an invalid lap time, so he got on off track, Carlos Balinas did a 2-minute 2.7, which is 1 second faster than the fastest lap of the race. Of course, set by a driver on wet tyres. He is on the dries. That's wide from Court. And here comes Sanchez, trying to prevent him from getting into the top 5 by overtaking him. And Court might well have done a good job of that himself here as he drops through the field. They are starting to struggle here on tyres that do not suit these conditions. There's only 1 lap to go, so they're just going to persevere with it, and they're going to put that button on now and leave it on to the rest of the race, because we are about to see the final lap. Court, though, has been overtaken now by Sanchez, and it looks like hopes of a top 5 have evaporated very quickly.
Yeah, I would just be bringing it home at this point. It obviously looks very, very hard out there to drive, and you know, points are points. You're on the penultimate lap at this one. Get what you can get. These two at the moment, well, it's up to, you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to drivers, mate, they're going to say, I'm not going to be happy to sell for P2. Adam's not. He's going to give it everything he can on this last lap, I reckon, to see if he can get the race win.
Yeah, he definitely will. And here he goes up the hill here in the slipstream. He's got the better run as well. He's going to roar past Fitzsimmons, who's on the last bit of his energy as well, by the way. The last bit of his push to pass. And he's out, I think. I think he's out. And Merchant's going to go straight through. He pulls in front of him as well. And as we've seen with the puddles through here, it's pretty much single line now through Les Combes, which means that Adam Merchant takes the lead of this race on the last lap, but Fitzsimmons tucks back underneath him. He has another look on the way towards Rivage, but this is going to be very, very hard for him with no push to pass at all. Merchant still with seconds available.
Yeah, you've got to be careful. But one little mistake at the moment between these two, not it's going to steal this one away from him. But so that's the situation. But what a fantastic overtake. Waits for the best to the last, of course, on that one, though. So Fitzsimmons will be biting himself a little bit. He's got no time, unfortunately. Well, he has, of course, this lap left, but this is it. It's the last lap. Where do you get the overtake done? A dive into the bus stop, perhaps?
It's going to have to be, I think. There was a half chance through Piff Puff, but nowhere near close enough, so he's got to stay close now through this section. Hope the Merchant runs out of seconds, but he's still not in the red, so he's not going to. All the way to the end. That's a bit wide from Fitzsimmons. ML's got a decent chance of taking second. Actually, I think a better chance, actually, than Fitzsimmons has got of taking the race lead here. Here goes Noddy ML. Even though Merchant didn't get the best run through the curve pull fair, and he's got the slipstream, of course. Here comes Noddy ML on the inside line. Oh, he's going to be close through the Blanchemont, and there might have been some contact there as well. Fitzsimmons tries to pull back into the slipstream, try and win that second place back again. ML's going to break late. He can't quite get close enough, though, and it's going to be reigning champion Adam Merchant who wins the first race of the Belgian Grand Prix from Spa, just in front of ML and Fitzsimmons. Despite starting the last lap in first, he will end the race on the bottom step of the podium.
Brilliant racing, yeah. I thought Noddy was could be there if he just had a little bit more time. Let's go back and have a look at the bang carnage at the start of the race. Somebody just did not get off the line. I think that's what Gareth McAllister, wasn't it? Looking very, very slow. That's what happened to his rear wing. Sorry, just have to go through those replays shortly. You can see the kerfuffling that's going on before we unfortunately lose our pictures. It's just a ping pong effect, isn't it? Like just of the cars all trying to judge their braking point into first turn, and that's the situation. Unfortunately, from that, that's what you saw. A bunch of the cars there, Ewan, that unfortunately either retired or had a lot of damage in this one.
A bit clumsy, but they'll they will be able to have another go at race number 2. That's the beauty of this series. You do get another chance in the second race. This is more trouble. One of these replays, we'll just show you some replays, but just be aware they are going to be cut by iRacing. There's Noble's spin. I mean, amazing job of everybody to avoid here, by the way. How they all managed to see him and go either side is incredible, considering the way that car was parked effectively across the road in a roadblock style was quite amazing. But there you go. Fair play to everybody for that. That was McAllister coming over the line, by the way, with no rear wing. So that was the end of the session, and that's what they were waiting for. So these are the results. Merchant wins out in the end with that late pass, with Nadia Mel getting in front of Finley Fitzsimmons as well. Antonio Bianchi and Cesar Hare will share the first row for the next race as it started to rain again, just as the drives were coming in. It started to rain in warm-up. Fabian Sanchez is going to be 6th, Pen of Elliott Cut in 7th, with James Meyer and Leo Delmar having their own fight for 8th. Jaden Callaway rounds out the top 10. He started from the back, don't forget, so that's not bad, but he will lose points nevertheless to the likes of Elliott Court, although not very many. I guess the winner of that one's probably Nadia Mel, isn't it, in that race? Anyway, Arturo Mayorga was 11th, also on the lead lap. Robert Nobles, Aaron Gosler, Ryan Tipo, first driver over a minute off the lead, and Gareth McAllister as well. 1 lap down for Carlos Bernales, Francisco Souza and John Stumbra. Elliot Rawls and Ricardo Espino retired early, so did Nicholas Isdrope, James Turnbull and Sonavin Rigo did not start, so 22 starters here tonight. I was just about to say, and we were just saying towards the end of that session there, the first race, that Palinas was actually quicker than the wet tyre runners, so I thought, dry tyres might be the way to go to start, but half an hour later and it's raining again. Very lightly raining, I might add, only 5%, but nevertheless, that should be enough to keep the wet tyres in, you would have thought.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be interesting. So these drivers, some of them will come and take this 5-minute warm-up to get a feel. I would imagine someone might gamble. Why not gamble on those dry tyres at the moment? Because it is a warm-up. It's okay if you damage your car. The magic, your pit crew there at iRacing will magically put it all back together pretty quickly. There's that schedule you were talking about. So here at Spa, my friend, as we get in our way about halfway through the season, as you know, and 6 and 20, so we're going to have our feature race at 20.
And by the way, we are going to have 20 races this season now because of these, one race evenings. And so we are indeed halfway on races now. 10 done, 10 to go before we finish on December 4th, just after US Thanksgiving. I wanted to say, you said it was a running joke. It's not my birthday Grand Prix. Is there a story there that I've missed from Gareth McAllister? What's the deal there?
You'll have to watch the stream back from last week.
Okay.
We pulled him into the booth and just wanted to have a chin wagging to him about that, my friend. So there you go.
All right, I'll do my research for next week.
So here we go. Noddy's out on the dry tyres at the moment. There's a couple of other drivers. Well, nobody out on track. They do have elected to put him in the garage. Let's have a look at how it feels to be on dry tyres at the moment.
Sorry, it's back to 0% again, look, as well. So this is very smart from Mo, doing exactly what you said, and I think it's correct to do as well. Get out there on the dry tyres and see what it's like. So Hare, for some reason, has gone on the wets. I suppose you could argue that arguably the dry tyres are the ones they're going to use in the race. So why not see what the wets would be like? See if there's any sort of benefit early, maybe in a run to the dries. But it looks like the dries are better now. As long as it doesn't rain like that again for an extended period of time, it doesn't rain heavier, because it only rained for about 2 minutes there at 5% rain. Then dry tyres are going to seem like the way to go. It's just going to be a very, very tricky race with these puddles still.
Yeah, I'm hoping that you do get one of those little rain showers up here at Spa where, and iRacing do mimic that, as this is going to pull off. They do mimic the conditions where it could rain on one part of the track and be dry on the other, which is the great thing that they do. So at least iRacing have done something good. Of course, the weather model is good. And I just hope you do get a little bit of a shower on one part of the track or something, so it does make it very entertaining. And I hope everybody out there is going to enjoy it, where JT is enjoying it.
Yeah, hope so anyway. It's a very lightly wet track, but I think this is, it's almost more exciting actually than a full wet race, I think. A sort of mixed conditions race like this. Sometimes wet races can be very attritional early on, very exciting. Didn't we have a very, very wet Barcelona race last season, I seem to remember?
I think we did. We couldn't
Catalunya.
see anything at all, really. You certainly can't use blimp cameras or anything, because, look, the rain's back.
Oh, there's rain again. See, it's so much more interesting, isn't it? Quite apart from the fact you can't see anything, but mostly it's so difficult that, about half of them crashed. We had about 10 left, and none of them were near each other because the conditions were so difficult. So, the benefit with these conditions is that it's a decision to make whether you put wets or dries on, and it's also good for battling as well, as we saw with that great battle for the lead. That unfortunately this man came on the wrong side up. Look at the percentage creep up, by the way, on the right-hand side of your screen, up to 11% now. This is getting heavier rain now.
And it's if you notice that we're only seeing the rain in certain corners as well too. It's not. See, the rain's just picking up around here. And then there's other parts of the track where it's not. It's just dry. You can see here, well, there's only a little bit of it. Just depends, I guess, where it's coming to the camera. Maybe it's playing tricks on us, but that is the end of our warm-up session finishing right now. So now these drivers will have to make that very difficult decision, what tyres to start on.
Well, I was going to say definite dries, but I mean now it's got to be wets, hasn't it? Oh yeah, look at the track condition change there. I'll just go through the top 5 again to show you the reversal, and that is for Sazi and Antonio Bianchi, who have got the front row here. Fitzsimmons, Emil and Merchant, the 3 who battled for the lead, will be 3rd, 4th and 5th. The rest of them will be where they finished race number 1, as you'll see, scroll through your screen in a moment. 5 minutes past 2 in the afternoon in Sim. Not raining anymore, but it's gone from very lightly wet to moderately wet. That is definite wet tyre territory. Nobody's going to go for the dries here. iRacing, of course, carries over the track state between the two, clearly in the 20 minutes between that warm-up session and indeed this race session. It has been raining quite a lot, although it's stopped now. It's rained enough to absolutely everybody needs wet tyres here, and everybody has chosen them as well. All 22 drivers who are expected to start here tonight in the second race of the League Zero Super Formula Championship from Spa. It's the Belgian Grand Prix presented by Team Goon Squad. Of course, sponsored by James Easton, thanks to him. 20 laps from Spa coming up for you tonight. We get underway and Emil goes nowhere. Neither does Fitzsimmons. The wet start causing carnage here. Gosler in the wall. He's in the background there, and a big dive down the inside. Fitzsimmons on the inside of a 3 wide, or in the middle of a 3 wide, I should say. And he's down to 5th. Emil's outside the top 5 as well. Callaway's only 9th. He's stuck in the midfield. Look at how wet it is. The worst conditions we've seen so far at the start of race number 2.
Yeah, look what you're going to see here through Rouge at high speeds as well. We do have drivers going off. Look at all the yellow flags there. Just about everybody at some point had to cut off through the track there just to avoid themselves in an accident.
Goodness me. Merchant already up to 2nd. Oh, it's a big movement. Fitzsimmons is very lucky. Leo Dalman very nearly came through and swiped him there, and in fact he has lost his front wing on the side of Fitzsimmons' car. How Fitzsimmons hasn't lost it is a mystery. There's Sazi Zuhair, who started on the front row, and he's already down to 6th place. Bianchi, meantime, has gone wide through Rivage. Oh, he's straight on, down in the gravel, and Adam Merchant is already in the lead. Fitzsimmons is bobbling up and down, not sure why. Elliot Court was already up to 2nd there, but briefly, Fitzsimmons now passed him on this start. What a crazy start to race 2. And Fitzsimmons has got a meatball flag.
Wow, and we got lots of action still happening at the back here. There is a huge accident again with some of these drivers. I'm not seeing where Fitzsimmons is on the timing tower. He's coming and going at the moment. So it's
towed.
But he's towed.
Yep.
That's unfortunate.
It absolutely is. He's not having a great season, I've got to say. He's, got decent speed. That was his first pole tonight as well, by the way, but only 2 top 5s. 3rd tonight, of course, he would have got, but it's a very, very low number for a driver of his standard, and that is a real shame. Hopefully he'll be able to come chat to us in a moment, if indeed he is retired from this race, but maybe not. Here comes Jaden Callaway on Jace Myatt on the inside. He backs away from that, and maybe correctly as well. Robert Nobles goes off through Blanchimont. He goes into the gravel. We'll have a proper big replay run through in a moment, but the race is still absolutely firing. Here comes Callaway on Jace Meyer. He's delayed his move by a couple of corners, but he is up to 6th place.
Yeah, that's how you get the job done. Yeah, it's tricky for just about everybody out there. You can see at the moment, especially just getting it off the line there, just trying to get any traction that you can. And once again, we will go have a look at those replays soon. There's just so much action still happening. We have a few drivers heading down in the pit road. And that's another thing I wanted to ask you there, is usually we have a scheduled pit stops, but because they started on the wet tyres, if they don't change the compound, can they go all the way to the end? Oh dear, somebody goes straight off over the
Everybody. Oh, and a big crash at the top of the hill.
Oh.
It was Meyer. Oh, Chase Meyer found the wall, and how he's driving so quickly with 3 wheels and no rear wing, I'm not entirely sure, actually. He'll have to come back to pit lane now. I think it could be a halfway in the race job again. It really depends how quickly it drives. Oh, and more trouble here. Suhair this time hit by Bianchi, who can't seem to get away from him. They've got magnets in those cars, and they've both lost bodywork as well. It's carnage. Suhair spins again. Bianchi caught up in it. Now his teammate Nicholas Isidro caught up in it as well. It is absolute carnage out there.
I know, we're going to be going back for about 10 minutes worth of replays soon, my friend. But I don't want to miss the live action here, because I guarantee you it is certainly lots and lots and lots of carnage for some of these drivers here as they're just trying to tackle these tricky conditions.
This is just impossible. Impossible conditions. Is it raining again, or is it about to? It's very dark all of a sudden. It doesn't look like it is raining, and no, 0%. I would contest, by the way, that lightly wet. What's it say very wet is? Off again, Bianchi. He's got no front wing, to be fair to him. This is going to be one of the... I mean, this is not the wettest League Zero race we've seen, as I referenced that Barcelona race from, I think, last season, if I'm remembering correctly. But this is, even so, super difficult. Merchant's leading by 2.5 seconds. Nadia Mel is chasing him. Elliot Court is behind as well. The top 3 in the championship, they're going to be after tonight, are 1, 2... Well, they probably will be after tonight. 1, 2 and 3 in this race as well. And they're mastering these conditions, you've got to say, compared to the rest of the field at the end of lap 2.
I think Noddy's going to be one to look out for. We saw his fight back through the field there and get himself a P2, almost close enough to get a P1 if he had a little bit more time. We've got half the field in pit road at the moment with lots of repairs. So let's go back and have a look at where most of these drivers started the race and unfortunately are in pit road right now.
Yeah, so Gosler found the wall before they even got to turn 1. Sousa went slowly off the start, which is part of the problem. Who was that? Gosler's already there. So that was odd. But Sousa didn't get off to a very good start, unfortunately. And this is what happened to Gosler. This is slow motion, by the way. It's not a slow start. Yeah. Oh, he just loses it on the traction. Well, before he even reached the start line, he was in the wall with the front right suspension damage there, Aaron Gosler. Now then, this is what happened to Leo Delmat. We saw him at the... not that it really matters now with Fitzsimmons out the race, but look at how close he got here. Steaming in on the puddle, and how Fitzsimmons doesn't get spun round from that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's very interesting. This is a few of the off-track excursions weren't there. They should just go straight on at the moment, and that's one of the first times he has an off-track excursion, but certainly wasn't the last time.
And then, so what happened there between Fitzsimmons and Court? Because this is Sousa, spinning as he passed Delmat on the exit of Malmedy. Sousa went for a spin. To get back going again, thankfully for him. This is just after Fitzsimmons and Court's incident. It's synchronised spinning, and this was all the bodywork scattering. McAllister's lucky to be avoided there by everybody else. There was another incident it's hard to get your head around how many incidents we've seen already here. Fitzsimmons and Court have already made contact by this point, and this will be Fitzsimmons just pulling off the road to tow back to pit lane and indeed end up retiring.
Yeah, there's a few more. I think it's because of these cars have the damage at this point. Yeah, you can see Leo Demar, no front downforce to keep that car to turn. Back to our live pictures. It's quieted itself down. The rain is now heavier, and look at that.
Hello.
Sanchez has stayed out. Court says, I'm coming in. He's certainly not good to put dry tyres on, so I'm just wondering if you're going to put those fresh wets on, if it's going to help him in these conditions, because it's starting to bucket down.
Well, he's got a meatball haircut, so he's been forced into this anyway, but these are bad conditions at the moment that we're seeing. Fastest lap of the race last time round went to Elliot Rolls, by the way, who's in second. I wonder whether Court and ML made contact. I don't know if you can see anything there, but the fact that both of them have disappeared there.
I think so. I think you might be right. Let's have a look at the replay.
I'm just putting 2 and 2 together.
There it is.
Synchronised spinning it is almost. Court goes for a slide. ML has nowhere to go. He gets a meatball. He's out the race. Court carries on, actually. He wants to pick up the points, but Noddy ML, who starts the day second in the championship to Elliot Court, has retired from this race. That was the top 2 in the championship there making contact.
This is going to just be one of those races. We're only on lap 4, Ewan. This is going to be one of those races where I just got to bring it home. I mean, essentially you're going to get yourself a good hurl of points here. If you could survive Spa, that's what, people sell those T-shirts down there and say, look, I survived Spa for the League Zero Formula Series.
Merchant's off now. The race leader, you said about survival, the race leader hasn't. Adam Merchant's been in the wall through poo, and I'm sure of it. He's got suspension damage here. He's definitely got suspension damage. No meatball, but he's definitely got damage. And this is how it happened. He was leading the race comfortably. He was driving very well indeed. Oh, he just gets wide through the curb, through the first spot, tries to bring it back. He slides and spins, and he reverses back onto the circuit. There goes the race lead. Elliott rolls, and I was incorrect to say he has damage. He was just getting back underway gingerly there, but he is down to 3rd, and suddenly this race has got a lot more interesting, I've got to say, especially for the race lead.
Yeah, nobody safe out there at this point in these conditions. Elliott rolls in the lead now. Nicholas is in that P2, and you can see currently at the moment he's got this man for company who was leading at the moment, and is going to all have to do all that hard work all over again. He's got time. That's one thing all these drivers have at the moment is time. It's going to send down the inside there, mate.
Well, Merchant is making light work of the first part of this anyway. Isidro gets into 3rd as Merchant passes him, but Elliott Rolls is going to be difficult to contest here for the race lead. And Rolls set a 14.9 last time round, new personal best, so he's clearly going quickly, and Isidro's not that far behind from re-overtaking here. The momentum he has takes him straight over Adam Merchant and straight back into 2nd, so this is wasted time now for Merchant that he really can't afford. Outside line in towards Lecombe, and he gets that 2nd place back again.
Yeah, but this fighting is also, I mean, it's difficult conditions as it is now to keep the car on the track, let alone having to battle for positions. Noddy's out there in the chat. He said sadly he could not avoid that, unfortunately. Yeah, well, we saw that in the replay there, Noddy. There's not too much you can do when there's a car practically covering half the racetrack in front of you.
Indeed. With Elliott Court also, though, having trouble here tonight, and it looks like he's out. Indeed he is. Not sure the damage is going to be massive for Noddy ML, really. Where's Callaway? He seems to be out of the race as well, actually. Yeah, he is. At the end of the first lap, so Jaden Callaway also won't be gaining anything. It will be Adam Merchant who really gains the most out of today. He gained 6 places in the championship with a win last week, and so he might well gain more with at least 1 victory here tonight, maybe 2, depending on whether he can get back to the lead here again in the next 15 laps. But this has been very, very chaotic so far, and I will. This is the incident again for Amel. Yeah. As you say, nothing he could have done about that.
Sorry to bring it up for you, Noddy, but there's nothing you can do about that, mate.
Yes. Not much at all. Balinas and Delma will continue to fight.
Got to lift off
I will apologise in advance for the lack of fighting we're likely to see in the next few moments as Delma goes straight through Balinas. Sanchez and Noble seem there or thereabouts, actually, as far as the battle is concerned. But there are only 10 drivers left at the front, and 4 with meatballs. It is, it's not going to be a very close race from now on in, maybe other than for the lead where Merchant is going to try and chase down Elliott Rolls. But let's see the final corner. Sanchez pulls over to the left-hand side, almost as if there was a lap car going on there.
Yeah, I mean, he might have just been completely struggling out of the corner, and he says, okay, you could just have it, mate, because there's still a long way to go in this race. He's going to pick his fights a little later on. I think he's going to be picking. They're all picking their fight at the moment with Spa, just to say, "Oh, goal, can you please bring me home? I want to see the checkered flag." That's the main thing I think this driver's going to be focusing on right now.
Yeah, that will be the big focus. Just survival. It's got to be the focus here. There are the conditions. Most it's been raining all day, 29%. And in fairness, when you think about it, if the rain could be 3 times as strong as this, in theory, and goodness knows what would happen in that situation. We've lost half the field in 3 laps.
Oh, we just lost somebody else too.
No balls in the wall this time.
See, that's why you sit there at this moment, as said, like the track is every driver's biggest problem to worry about, not the cars around it. And as you can see, how much damage, he's struggling. Oh, and then Sanchez has got into a spin. He felt bad for him.
Oh dear. Merchant's made another mistake as well, by the way. He's back to third again. We'll see that in a second. So this is Noble. It's just on the power out of Malmedy.
Wow.
Dear, oh dear.
And then, of course, they go for a little bit of a spin again. And that's what you'll see Sanchez go for a spin when he's doing it. And here he is here. He just... it's difficult, isn't it? Because you're turning into a corner. He's wondering, hey, is he going around? Did he lift off? Did he even tap the brake a little bit and the rear end went round? That's... I don't know. There's many unknowns, but thankfully, you'd have to say for Sanchez that no damage, at least on the car.
Same for Merchant, who's had another spin here, and he's back through again ahead of Vizadroke. Now, unfortunately, the mistakes that he's making mean that Elliot Rolls is likely to be able to sit on this cushion now that's been created for him. 14 laps to go, and he's got 15 seconds, which doesn't actually sound like very much, I suppose, but it is going to be, I think, in reality. And Elliot Rolls, they see him in front at the moment in the lead of this race. He is, again, just looking to survive, but we said that many times tonight, and indeed, many have not survived, so it's easier said than done, certainly, as Espino's mistake in recent times has brought him into the clutches here of Leo Dalmat, who goes to the outside of him now in towards the final chicane. And after spinning to the back of the field, Dalmat's back up to 7th place now, just through persevering, really, in this second race.
Yeah, he had a moment there before on lap 6. Let's have a look. I think this is just another unfortunate. Let's go for a little spinner route. And it was there. But luckily, not a lot of cars around at the moment, so you can just you can brush that one off and get back into it, which is what he did currently in P7. Goes to the up through a rouge there, mate. Yeah, it just takes to the escape area and says, "Yeah."
Delmat off one side, Espino off on the other.
Yeah.
So the only place they're not is on the racetrack. But there you go. I mean, this is just so difficult, isn't it? It's absolutely impossible. I'll tell you something. I don't know if you've done much driving in the wet in iRacing. I've got to experience it myself because it looks impossible. But these super formulas look so difficult in the wet weather conditions. I've got to say, I really enjoyed race 1, mixed conditions, but you've got to say this is a fully wet race, and these conditions are almost too hard for everybody to keep control of the cars. It's unbelievably difficult.
Yeah, we would say if this was real life racing, they would probably have called the red flag on that one and just wait for that rain to die down, get everybody back out. But of course, in the virtual world, we don't. We say race on. Black flag at the moment for Damar. As we're just having a look at Elliot Rolls. Hopefully not, you don't believe in the commentator's curse anyway, there Ewan, but you call it the commentator's coincidence. But just seeing how Elliot Rolls is handling these conditions, which seems to be okay, because a 15-second gap.
Indeed. Is currently. I'm just going to do as Delmad's found the meatball actually now. I wonder whether he's, he must have had some contacts again in the last couple of moments here. It doesn't know obvious damage actually, but as always when you get a meatball, it is going to be a long time getting repairs done. Let's see. Slide through Ravage, Puddles, and through No Name. Big slide. Oh no, not hit. Well, okay, he's okay for now, and for some reason there's a meatball nevertheless for him. And Goshler, I think this was a little bit earlier on in the race. Yeah. He's been out the race for a while.
Actually, locks up in the bus stop.
Joe who goes past him.
Leo goes off again. He's trying to get in the pit road. Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to find the pit lane here, has Delmat, and does indeed do that. Let's find a driver down on pit lane at the moment who's been in there for quite a while, and he's retired from this race. Elliot Court, who's come to chat to us, at least he's in the waiting room. Elliot, welcome in. Good to have you with us, although not while the race is going on, of course. We'd rather see you out there on the circuit. We've still more than half this race to go. Just tell us about your very short-lived race 2, first of all.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally impossible out there, to be honest. I don't know how these guys still on the track and still in one piece. It's quite literally like driving a boat on ice. So yeah, that's why there's been so many DNFs.
I reckon a boat on ice might be even more difficult than this, actually, because famously boats are designed for slightly softer ice, as it were. But anyway, we saw you there, obviously getting in contact with Noddy ML. I mean, as you say, so difficult in terms of these conditions. But just give an idea, if you can, of what the difference was between the two races in conditions, because to the untrained eye, you could say, well, this is not that much worse than race 1.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it wasn't meant to rain for the second race. I thought it was meant to just like rain for qualifying and then sort of dry out slowly. But during the warm-up, it started raining again, and it's still actually coming down with rain at the moment. So conditions are only going to get harder out there for the guys still out there, to be honest.
If you don't mind, we'll keep you for a second just to chat a little bit more about the rest of this season, really, because we have just crossed the halfway mark now with the first race being complete tonight. We're halfway through the season. We don't know how the championship's going to look at the end of today, with Merchant looking like he's going to get 2 podiums. But at the start of the day, he held 27 points over Noddy ML. He will have lost a few points too, and gained a few on Callaway and so on. But how are you feeling about that situation being broadly the same at the end of today than it was at the start, heading into the second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, this would be my drop round, to be honest. Not a good result from me, but yeah, I mean, I think this race is sort of a bit luck involved, to be honest. Such bad conditions. It's like I saw it start raining. I'm not great in the rain anyway, but then this is another level. It's just impossible. So yeah, for the rest of the season, just try and keep consistent. Hopefully, mostly dry races from now on, and yeah, see how it goes.
I was going to say, hopefully no rain.
You could see the car sliding. Is that what it felt like there? Yeah. Because you could see that from Bianchi, just trying to keep the car's just wanting to go in an opposite direction of where you're trying to point the steering wheel, mate. Is that just literally how it feels?
On the straight, it's literally aquaplaning. So you're not even fully on the ground, going down towards like turn 1 and the Lecombe chicane. It's very tricky out there.
Yeah. It certainly looks it, that's for sure. Just to talk us through the circuits you'll enjoy or not for the remainder of the season. As I say, we've got the potential for rain as we're in the UK next week. Donington Park, Hockenheim, Montreal, Suzuka, Watkins Glen after the week off for Thanksgiving. Any circuits you're looking forward to or not, rain aside, for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm looking forward to all of them. I think the worst ones, well, for me personally, are behind us. Some tracks that I'm not so good at, we've done already. So yeah, I mean, Donington should be interesting because I don't think barely anyone's ever driven Donington in this car. So yeah, that'd be a pretty good one. Then the rest of them, good old classic style tracks, good for overtaking, good for wheel-to-wheel racing.
About 60-second lap times, I'd imagine, next week at Donington Park. I'd imagine it's going to be a very quick couple of races, that's for sure. But anyway, hopefully, as you say, for your sake and everybody else as well, and I guess our sake a little bit as well, that the conditions are not quite this wet. Anyway, said earlier, we enjoy the mixed conditions, but when it is this wet, it is almost impossible, it seems, to get these cars around any circuit. So yeah, commiserations on race 2 tonight, Elliot. Thanks for coming to chat to us for a bit of an extended period of time this time round, and hopefully we're chatting to you at the end of the race next week instead of during it.
Yeah, that's quite right, guys. Yeah, it's fun to sort of let everyone know why so many people are going off in this race.
Yeah, it's wet. It's the long and the short of it.
Yeah, we need to rename this one to it's the very wet Belgium GP.
Yeah. We've got the wrong name this week, but there you go. Yeah, thanks, Elliot, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Elliot Court, who retires, unfortunately, on lap 3 of tonight's race after spinning through Malmedy. So we could distill that conversation into the just saying it's wet, but that would be a bit boring, wouldn't it? We'd like to chat to the drivers, even if it is in the middle of the race. By the way, just want to get just before we show a replay here of Elliot Rolls, who seems to have been off and lost about 5 seconds in that in that period of time we were chatting to Elliot there, Elliot Court, that is. Just want to say 23 minutes complete in this race, by the way. That's 22 to go, and we're only just completing half distance now. That's what happened to Rolls, by the way. Too late on the brakes of Pif-Paf and went straight off. This race is time limited at 45 minutes. At the moment, this race is going to take 46 minutes, but they will see the white flag before time runs out. So at the moment, we're going to get all 20 minutes in, all 20 laps in, but in a longer time than the 45 minutes allowed. So if this race slows even further, i.e. more mistakes for Rolls and Merchant, then we could well have our first shortened race of the season. But the time limitations are quite generous here. We are going to use all 45 minutes, but we should get all 20 laps as we cross halfway.
And, Aaron's going to be seeing a black flag. You can see next to his name, so we'll have to get down and serve that. I'm just trying to see. Yes, he will be coming in. What happened? I know he had a moment back on lap 8, but surely that we didn't see that black flag after that. But either way, he has been sent down the pit lane, and he'll have to serve a drive-through, I would imagine there, Ewan.
Yes. See if he stops. I've seen in recent times, I don't know whether it's just different series and different ways of working, but some of these black flags actually end up in being stop and goes. But,
yep.
Ghostly almost does stop actually on the exit of the pit lane, but he's back
going
going
to
again.
Into the fence, mate. You could take your time with this one because essentially he's the I think he's the last driver in this race because everybody else is on the damage clock or retired.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those others on mid-ball flags there, by the way, will be retirements as well. But, you know, if one of those drivers, by the way, on a more serious point, if one of those drivers down the back can get themselves repaired and back out there, they could gain loads of places to get in 11th.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
it's probably worth doing for somebody as Nobles has spun.
Yeah, especially because it's still not guaranteed anybody's going to be finishing this race without damage. So exactly, I would stay in that car, try to get your team to fix it as quickly as possible because you never know. If you get out there, you're going to get some points. Let's have a look what happened to Roberto. Right here, mate, isn't it? Bang. That's where you get your fold-up chair and your popcorn if you want to watch the race here because it's caught everybody off guard.
Well, there's a lot of...
we got
pits.
pits.
A lot of corners like that.
Merchant's coming in. That's interesting.
Yeah. So... Merchant in, I would imagine, for a tyre change. As I mentioned, you'd sort of want to do it halfway. Let's just see him go up on the jacks here and back down again. I would imagine it's only take a few seconds here as he comes towards the end of pit lane to the 5th last box, which is where he will be stationed, up on the jacks.
Yep.
And again pretty quickly. Not a long tyre change, of course, in Super Formulas. Back underway again. So let's see if Rolls responds to that now, because just over halfway, Merchant has gone for a tyre change, and Isidro is not quite going to get in front. So Merchant with no traffic to deal with, which is a positive for him.
It'll be interesting to see what sort of speed that they can do on some fresh boots here as well. And will it make any difference getting some fresh wet weather stickies? Not that they're sticking to the track too much here today, mate. They're trying to displace all that water. You just don't know. That's one for the chat out there too. If your drivers will let us know if you can go a bit quicker on fresh rubber.
Yeah, it will be a key couple of moments here, but I'm not sure how the tyre warm-up phase in terms of getting these up to speed is going to be. Because if that period of time... it's very difficult, then it doesn't matter. There's Isidro going for a spin, and he very nearly finds the wall. He does scrape it, in fact, but he gets away with it. He'll wheel spin himself out of the grass, and here comes Antonio Bianchi, in fact, in the background. This will be the battle for 3rd place.
Yep, Bianchi has got to... you think, all right, here we go. This is going to be... I've got this place potentially coming, but you've got to be very careful too, because, you know... It's tricky. You can see right there's some marbles on the track, not to mention with, about 2 tons of water on top of it. But here it is. Nicholas has just got to compose himself at the moment. I mean, you're not the only driver that's had a bit of a spin here today, so just about everybody has. And Antonio, he's going to be
outside.
Careful.
On the outside. Isidro on the inside there. Doesn't have much grip there, and very nearly went into the side of Bianchi. Same nearly happened the other way round through the second part of Pif-Paf there. And Bianchi had a bit of a slide on. Isidro, though, keeps third place, and this is the pressure that is brought by that kind of mistake. Even though these gaps look large, one mistake can close it right in, and Isidro's experiencing that at the moment. Here comes Bianchi. He's having to back off even before they get to Ponchemont. He probably can't see where he's going. Yeah. And, well, I mean, look at this. It's absolutely impossible to even see where you're going. Fighting with the car the whole way through, and he's going to look for third position here. On the way down in towards the chicane. Chance. No way through, though, for Bianchi. And Isidro responds by coming in, and probably the right call as well.
Well, that was fun. Certainly nerve-wracking. That's for sure. You could see what he can't see. That's pretty easy to say. You can see what he can see. Well, you can't see much when you're in another car and your helmet's absolutely just covered in spray. Especially up through here. Let's have a look through. Go up through a Rouge. Of course, this is what drivers love. It's one of the favourite parts of any road racing track. But you can see they're very gingerly through here. The car's literally wanting to slide off and put you into that fence at in excess of 200 kilometres per hour. And they all are playing it safe, as you can see. Nobles has got a black flag. He's in pit lane serving that one.
Yep, so that will still be in sixth, but he'll be in pit lane. Let's see the more recent incidents for him as he comes through Puon in this one. A little bit wide into the outside curb, and he goes into a spin. There's another one. We should have started counting at the start. Or maybe we shouldn't, but we'd be up to a high number by now.
Keep an eye on these lap times. Now that Merchant did take his pit stop back there on lap 11, Blanchie took his pit stop on lap 2, my friend. So he can go to the end. He's done his pit stop. Elliot Roll's still yet to pit. Just interesting, that interval is about 29 seconds, you can see, between Merchant and Rolls. We'll keep it on those lap times as well. We've got to wait, obviously, for Merchant to have a full outlap in order to get the time, which should be coming up soon because Rolls is coming across the line. Then we'll be about 28 seconds down the road. You'll see Merchant's. We'll get an idea what his time will be.
I mean, look at the interval, though, closing. I think we can already presume that it will be faster from Merchant, but just how much faster is going to be the question here. I think 28 seconds now. The gap, it was closer to 30 when he exited the pit lane nearly 2 laps ago. That's the thing with Spa, though. You have a lot of track to cover before you start to realise, quite in normal factual terms, that you are losing time quite quickly. So this is Merchant coming over the line now, and he does a 16.4. That is 1.2 seconds quicker than Rolls. When you consider he will have been going a bit quicker on the outlap as well, he's gained a bit of time now on the current race leader, who can still pit now and come out in first, but he won't want to leave this too much longer.
No, that's definitely right. Now, the engineers down there for Elliot Rolls, his spotter and so forth, should be on the radio and letting him know, okay, well, Adam will be a threat here if you stay out too long. And Adam, at the moment, you see, using a bit of push. He's putting the hammer down at the moment. Look at the overtake too. He's got stacks of it available in the bank of the Tied On Points #1 machine here.
I mean, it's very difficult to use the push to pass when it's raining like this. Other than on the Kemmel Straight, really, you don't actually want it. But when he's in a battle later, maybe he will. Maybe this rain will stop at some point, but it's been absolutely relentless. As Elliot Court told us, he was expecting, and maybe some of the others were, that the rain would actually stop for race number 2, but in fact it's only got harder. And in fact this is now the worst conditions that we've seen all day.
Absolutely.
With the additional rain that was already on the surface, 38% rain now. This is just getting worse.
And now that, I mean, if it wasn't already that these drivers had to put their concentration level through the roof, now it's even more, of course, because now they're soaked in their cockpit, of course, in their racing rig. You can see the many puddles that have formed. There's little rivers that actually happen here in Spa. I'm not quite sure how well they've managed to simulate the little rivers of water that flow around this track when you see it in Formula 1 sometimes. But it's interesting. Noddy out there says that he thinks that Adam will probably be ahead after the pit stop. So Elliot Rolls is in. Well, we're going to find that out in a minute.
I'm still sceptical, I must say. I was going to say, if Rolls leaves it much longer, then I'd probably agree. But he comes in now. I think he'll be okay here, Elliot Rolls, as he comes up to the... Oh, he's not going up on the jacks there. He is not going up on the jacks. He's just going again now after 5 seconds in pit lane. So I don't know what he did there in terms of a stop. because you can't do fuel, so not sure what that was, but it's 2 seconds quicker anyway than Merchant. He will be in front pretty comfortably here. Even without those 2 seconds, he would have been. And now the case is going to be, can he hold off the charge from Merchant, which is certainly going to be coming.
Yeah, especially when you had to slow down, innit? And these cars, are like any car really, they don't work too well when they're slow. So you've got to get back up the speed. There it is. Look at there's your puddle. And you can see Adam goes gingerly through that because he realises, I love it. This rain model is absolutely amazing on iRacing. Hats off to them.
Yankee has found a meatball because, well, not on the side of the circuit.
Yeah, look.
He's got a meatball. He's got no front left tyre on. Oh, my goodness me. Another one bites the dust. We're going to be down to 6 in this race. This is extraordinary. This is quite incredible. Bianchi goes wide through Blanchimont. He's in the puddles on the outside. No control over that car. Aquaplaning into the wall. As you commented earlier, this race would not be going ahead in the real world. That's why, one of the advantages of sim racing, in fact, you can continue to race in conditions that you wouldn't in real life. But maybe we're seeing tonight why they don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, because we wouldn't want anybody to actually get seriously hurt out there if it was the real world. But, of course, in the virtual sims, the worst thing that can happen to you is you might sprain a wrist with the force feedback. And then I'll be on. But let's say I'm interested in this one.
Off.
Rolls is off.
Rolls is off. It's a bit pap and he's back on just in front of Merchant. We were expecting the catch to be made at some point, but not with 5 to go. And Rolls with gravel all over his tyres. He's got a big disadvantage now as he comes into Stavilo a bit deep. Here comes Merchant in the background. If you can see him, good luck as he comes out of the curve flare now. Rolls has got a big job of defending to do in the last 5 laps of this race.
Oh, this is great. I was hoping this was going to occur, but a lot sooner than expected, my friend. And look at that. Even heavier rain coming down at the moment. Puddles are absolutely everywhere. Drivers are just wanting to get this one done and dusted, no doubt, at this point. But it is entertaining, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is going to be a cracker.
This is going to be absolutely fantastic. 10 minutes to go, by the way, on the time certain clock. And so with 5 laps to go, that means... if they do more than 2.5 minutes per lap, then they will shorten this race, but that's not going to happen. 2:19.5 is much more like for a Merchant, but that last time is much more like what you'd expect to see at this stage in the race, even with these conditions, unless these two crash, which is not impossible, I suppose. This race will go the full distance. There's only 4 cars actually not in the pit lane at the moment, which is quite something. Through the puddle, up the top of the hill there. Rolls does seem to be pretty at one with his car at the moment. It's 2.5 minutes of push to pass to be used by Merchant. He'll be using it every lap from now until the finish, wherever he can, to try and get in front of Elliott Rolls at the moment.
And he's using that push to pass as well too. We don't know if Elliott did use some to defend against it, but you've got to be also careful of it. It's just so much speed that you don't want to be carrying. Holding on to it, Elliott is power sliding out of the corner. He's trying to do his absolute best to defend off the charging number 1 Adam behind him, and he's going to have to do this for another grueling 4 or 5 more laps. If not, we don't go to a time.
This is just incredible. The wheel work that's having to go on from these guys is just amazing. And it's not a battle side by side. They're going to stay probably about a second apart, to be honest. This is what's, we're going to say this is definitely a battle at the moment because, I mean, look at how easily you can make mistakes. And Rolls hasn't enjoyed this part of the circuit. He went right through Pooh on there, and Merchant has looked down the inside trying to make him do that mistake again. And he's not going to this time round, but Merchant fell through the gravel that Rolls brought onto the circuit last time round. Merchant looking left and right, and he's on the inside in time for Stavilo this time. He's on the puddle there on the tight line. Rolls very wide. He's going to get the nice line, though. That was a very nice line, in fact. Outside of Stavilo looks good. So does the outside of Kerpel Frere as Merchant slides. This is an incredible fight between 2 drivers who can barely stay pointing the right way right now. They're fighting for a race win as well. This is an extraordinary fight, and Merchant putting on extraordinary pressure in the slipstream. He's putting pressure on a driver he cannot see at the moment in the slipstream.
Fantastic racing. It's good to see. Yeah, you've got to just try to keep it on the track, let alone worry that there's a guy trying to take your position away. Anything can happen here. Well, here comes Merchant looking down the inside again
into La Source. He's gone for the push to pass a bit earlier this time. Is that going to be dangerous on the run up the hill there? Because we've seen time and again this car snapping away from him. 3 tenths behind. He's not even going to be able to see where he's going, really. There he goes, looking for a bit of visibility there. And he's going to just slow on the way in. Oh, goodness me, it's just impossible. He goes over the top here. I don't think that was the right call, because actually in these situations, you almost don't want to use the push to pass on anywhere other than the Kemmel straight, because it's a disadvantage. Rolls left it until the straight itself before using it, and he's, look at that, got his second lead back again.
Yeah, that's definitely a strategic game of where you're going to be using that push to pass. You can see those drivers do have a little bit in their bank still in the dying stages of this race, because they haven't really had to use it too much, because some of these battles, as I said, have been with the track itself. Look at that, both of them going out wide, just trying to control. It's like a bit of physics being learned here this evening, my friend. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's called the wet track, trying to throw your car into the fence.
Thanks for that, Isaac. Yeah.
I've been called many things. I've never been called Isaac.
Yes, 3 laps to go at the end of this one for Rolls and Merchant. He's strong through here, isn't he, Merchant? And the fact there's nobody out there still means that his gravel... Oh, he's still there! And Rolls still struggling with Pit Path. Now he's behind Merchant, and Adam Merchant leads again. He's going for the back-to-back here at Spa, and he currently leads this race with 3 laps to go. Now, can Rolls at the other parts of the circuit, where he is a bit stronger, especially through Sector 1, can he get this lead back again, or is that... Is Adam Merchant going to go on to win this race from here? It looks like he's in prime position to do that now.
Well, the predator's become the prey, isn't it? In that situation, it's rolling reversed. Rolls, no puns intended, but yeah, he's got to put that pressure on Merchant. He can't afford to let him get too far up the road there, so Merchant can then back off a little bit. No, Elliott's just got to continue to be strong at the parts of the track where he has been strong. We'll see if he can get that little slipstream and see if he can put the power on very soon, of course, and then follow up through Eau Rouge and just close your eyes and pray if you're going to make it through.
We'll see again whether it's going to be what Noddy was saying in the YouTube chat about Rolls being able to use the spray to his advantage here. Is that the case up the top of the hill here, or was Merchant just struggling more than Rolls in the same way that Rolls is not enjoying pit path, as we've just seen there? He's just off the lead through there. Now Rolls takes a bit of a different line, and he's in trouble over the curb, and he'll lose even more time. And in fact, he'll get a slow down as well. He should serve that without actually having to slow down, because it was so minor. But Merchant now leads by 1.8, and the only thing now that stands in the way of a race win, I think, is a mistake from Merchant, because that is a decent lead to have here.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's why you've got to just make sure that you're still in his mirrors somewhere along the line, so that you can force the driver into that mistake, which is not too hard to make at this one. If you're a betting person out there, you'd have to say there's probably about 50% chance that a driver will make a mistake at this point. You just don't want him to get too far down the road where Adam can just really lift off and coast through the rest of this race.
It's such a big day for Adam Merchant in this championship. He's only competing in his 5th race of the season, and he's only 61 points behind Elliott Cook coming into today. You'd imagine he'll be a lot closer than that after tonight. Less than 40 points, I would imagine. And he came back from behind to beat Noddy Amel last season. Noddy is also ahead of him in this season, don't forget, and he won't be that far behind going into the next round. It's still going to be Elliott Court, the championship leader, but Adam Merchant is going to be the new driver in the fray. There is the standing currently. You have to say it was a top 3 coming into tonight, Court, Amel and Callaway. But the top 3 have all retired from race 2, and Callaway finished 10th in race 1. So he'll be behind Merchant, definitely, I would have thought. Noddy Amel also will be suffering a little bit. Of course, he can't take drop rounds because he's not started one of the rounds. So he'll have to think about that. But 2 laps to go for Merchant. 3 minutes to go, so we will have chance to fit them in. Not thankfully, I think, is what Merchant will be thinking. I know he's leading by nearly 4 seconds now, but he would rather this race was over as quickly as possible so he can get home and try and get this race win. No mistakes can be afforded in these final 3 minutes.
No, that's the most frustrating part of any racing driver, when you've had to endure these horrific conditions for a race driver, and you're so close to the finish line. You just don't want to bin it. You don't want to throw it away. It's the worst feeling. We've all been through it in any sports, really. At the end of the day, you're so close, and you want to get there, and then something happens in the dying stages. So, I'm fingers crossed for all the drivers to bring it home here, wherever you manage to finish. I would like them just to finish this race because, as you mentioned, there's a good chunk of majority of the field here have not managed to see that checkered flag.
Gosler is about to go 3 laps down as well if he's lapped again by Adam Merchant. At the moment, 2 laps down, which is quite a long way around this circuit.
Yeah, he had another moment, which is,
he's having trouble. In time, by the way, that's over 4.5 minutes off the lead. That is the kind of gaps we're seeing here. And there's another spin. It'd be over 7 minutes off the lead, I should say. That's how far he is off at the moment. It's a very, very big gap indeed. But, we can't look down on any of these 6 who are going to finish this race. You've got to take a hat off to each and every one of them because these conditions have been almost... Elliot Court, who is the championship leader in this series and one of the series' best drivers, described the conditions as almost impossible, I think. I think that's a direct quote. Yep. And so, you've got to take your hat off to all these 6 who have made it to the end.
And he's out there, and he actually just said that, glad it's not meant to be raining for the SR4S series as well, too. That'll be on Sunday. So, you had a little bit of experience with the rain here tonight in our first race that we had, a sprint race, and of course for the feature race. And it was mentioned about Nottingham, it was a bit confusing. And I think we're a little confused too, is how it went from close to dry to super wet between the breaks.
Well, there were 20 minutes of time passed. That was, that's more than enough time as the white flag comes out. That's more than enough time in real life for Spa for there to be a passing shower. And don't forget, in those 20 minutes, the iRacing has simulated no cars having driven through the circuit. So that's why it would have felt so newly wet, I suppose. A quick shower of a very strong intensity, but very short, can happen very quickly, especially at Spa, and therefore on iRacing as well. And as I say, nobody will have been driving around it clearing the water away. So I think that's why it got so wet so much between the two sessions. Because don't forget, at the end of warm-up, it was still lightly raining.
That's true, actually. Yeah, it would make perfect sense, of course. Professor Ewan does know. He has commentated about 1 billion races in iRacing, so you've seen it all before. Last lap of the race at the moment there, Merchant leading from Rolls, who's going to be looking to settle that P2. You've got to give it to Nicholas as well. Still looking for a team in that P3 position. He's up 18 places, 17 positions gained for Elliot. Sanchez still in this one. He's hanging out there at the moment, my friend. There's Ricardo also out there, and as well as Aaron Gossier a lap down or so. But hey, he's still going to finish the race. That's the main thing.
Exactly. I wonder if Nicholas is actually looking for a team, or whether that's just his name that he's continuing with at the moment. But there you go. He's going to have a good result tonight with a podium finish. And I should say, I'm not a trusted meteorologist, but that's just my guess. As the rain continues to intensify, 45%. Yeah. It's gotten to a stage actually where it's got so strong it's actually not seemingly. It's seeming in relativity not actually getting any worse, no. Even though it is really. It just doesn't look like it's that much worse because it's just been so bad in these conditions for so long. But there you go.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. Go ahead.
So I was just about to say, you wouldn't believe that a race with 6 finishers would be this interesting. But I've got to say, Elliot Rolls and Adam Merchant have provided the entertainment for us at the very end here. And into the final couple of corners, Adam Merchant is going to take another victory. His second tonight and his 4th overall this season in just 5 starts. He's having a very, very good title defence when he's here. Adam Merchant wins again, this time at the Belgian Grand Prix in front of Elliot Rolls by 6.5 seconds. Great race between those two in an attrition-filled Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, they'll be all happy to see that, and we'll be happy to have a hear from those drivers, hopefully at the end of this one too, once they get out of there and try to dry themselves out of that this race. And there is, once again, Nicholas there with the Benetton-esque livery. He'd be like, well, Schumacher used to be great in the wet weather, so am I.
Where's all my talent with this livery on? Yes.
Oh, Paul. This Nicholas had a few spins there. Oh no!
Yeah. There's another.
Yeah. Who said there's no commentator curse? Come on, Nicholas. I mean, you still got a bit of a gap there over to Sanchez, so you just got to bring it home, mate. I mean, a couple more corners.
I'm a fan, by the way, of the commentator's coincidence. I quite like that, so I'm going to keep that, I think. There's another example of it. Zidro just having a spin, just as we were saying. I mean, I guess it's the opposite, isn't it? Because you were saying he has had spins, and he had another one. He was just demonstrating your point. He wanted to prove you correct.
Yeah, perhaps he did. Yeah, I mean, why not? He's looking for a team, right? That's so. I mean, maybe he's get his sponsors out there right now.
Commentary team. That's what he's looking for.
Yeah.
Anyway, Zidro comes over the line and he'll be third. Tonight, Sanchez will be able to finish in fourth place, in front of Espino by nearly a lap. I think actually that is Espino just in front of him there as they come into the final chicane, or it is Aaron Gosler, who has yet to cross the line either, a couple of laps down. He was only just in front of Merchant actually, so it might be quite a while until he crosses the line, but there comes Sanchez across the line in fourth position, just after Espino, the first driver a lap down.
Yeah.
And Aaron Gosler will be a little bit later over the line as well. There he is, as I mentioned, just in front of
He'll
Aaron
be
Merchant
happy.
when,
He might have
the
the all-time spin record, I'd have to say, here in Spa. But look at that. The car's still in one piece, and he will still be seeing that checkered flag. And I mean, hats off to you, my friend. Sticking with it. Difficult times to be spinning multiple times, but he still gets himself a P6.
Yep, very well done for the sixth place finish. A good finish for Aaron Gosler here tonight. That's just about it, though, in terms of the racing here from Spa in the League Series Super Formula Championship. A long one tonight with the all 45 minutes being used, in fact nearly 50 minutes being used at the end there for Aaron Gosler, but it is Adam Merchant who wins by 6.5 seconds in a great battle at the end there with Elliot Ros, Nicholas Isidro and Fabian Sanchez, the only others on the lead lap. Espino and Gosler 1 and 2 laps down respectively, and then the retirements: Antonio Bianchi, Robert Nobles, Carlos Balanas and Leo Dalmat, who were in the top 10. Francisco Souza, Elliot Court and Nadia Mel, who crashed together 12th and 13th. Gareth McAllister and Jace Meyer running up the top 15. Sati Zuhair, who started on the front row, retiring on lap 2 as well, with Jaden Callaway, who will not be third in the championship anymore. John Stumbra, James Turnbull and Arturo Mayorga to round up the top 20. All of those on the first lap, by the way, at least in the first couple. Finley Fitzsimmons as well, Ryan Thibault with Xavier Seneb and Christian Runkringle not getting to the start. Not so they did much worse than what they would have done if they got to the start, to us, looking at the way that the other 2/3 of the field went, or 3/4 indeed of the field went, but there you go, maybe that's harsh. Let's have a chat to Adam Merchant, shall we, the race winner from both races tonight. And Adam, welcome in, congratulations on a double victory, but tell us about race 2 first of all. That was absolute carnage, attrition to the max, and in the end you were able to come out the other side with the victory. Tell us about the late fight with Elliot Ros first of all.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm so happy it's over. The track just kept getting sketchier and sketchier, but the fight with Elliot, I could see after Pouan in the right-left chicane, I was a little bit faster there, and he wasn't taking the outside in the second part of that chicane, so that's where I made my move. I knew there was more grip on the outside, and he wasn't taking it, so just tried to play the patient game. It was impossible to see. So it was really hard, but good fair racing by him as well.
I mean, just talk us through the first race as well. I mean, both times you had to battle your way through and battle your way past somebody to win one of these races. That last lap though with Finley Fitzsimmons, did it all just come down to the push to pass that you had and he didn't, or was there a little bit more to it than that in your opinion?
I think that was a good portion of it. Our pace was falling off compared to Nadi specifically at the end of that first race. And so I knew that if I just continued to stay in his draft and let him use overtake every lap, I would have enough of a delta to where he'd have to deploy fully and I'd get it on the back straight. But yeah, the plan was definitely just to build the offset in the OT. It was a shame he lost the position to Nadi as well, just fighting. But the grip on these wet tires falls off a cliff, honestly, after a few laps. So the dry is definitely so much better to drive in this car. But yeah, it was a really fun final lap, just focusing on OT.
I think there will be a few drivers hoping for a return to dry weather next week, that's for sure. What about the the rest of the season. Sorry, you will be getting a little bit closer in the championship now, but the $1 million question is, are you going to be here for enough races to defend your title over the next 5 weeks? Are we going to be seeing you regularly, or are you going to be up there fighting for the title again?
I would hope so. I think in terms of my contenders, they had some difficult races. Elliott and Finley, I think, didn't finish the feature. So that was very important points for me to bring back. But I will try to be here all 5 of the weeks. I don't have any traveling plans, so that's a good thing. Hopefully I can make all these races and make a fight for the run.
Well, we certainly hope so. Adam, congratulations again on finishing in first place in both races tonight, and thanks for chatting to us as always after the races.
Yeah, thank you guys for the broadcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much. An immersion winner in both races tonight. And the Belgian Grand Prix presented by Team Goon Squad. We'll be back next week, of course, with the Lap Zero Finishes GP presented by the Lap Zero podcast, sponsored by Norman King and Antonio Bianchi. Look forward to seeing them there, hopefully, next week as well. But let's wait and see. There are your race results again from race number 1. But Biggles, it's Merchant double victory here tonight, and get the feeling he's going to be making a bit of a run for this and a late run for the championship. He had to come from behind last season to win it, and therefore there's no reason, I guess, to suggest that he can't do it again this season.
Yeah, it's scary because it's making me think of Max Verstappen making a late charge to take a championship in Formula 1 too, which
I'm worried.
I'm worried, yeah. And so, well, everybody else should also be worried about Adam Merchant. So, but there it is. Of course, my friend, we got to go over to your neck of the woods there on October the 30th.
I didn't think you were going to admit to that. Fairly concerned. Anyway, yeah, we are indeed at Donington Park. Actually used to live about 20 minutes away from Donington Park, so there you go. It's very local. I don't live there anymore. Don't try and come find me. It's round 7 of the championship, the League Zero Super Formula Championship. Going to be a lot of fun, of course. As always, 10 laps in the first race, 32 in the feature. Lots of drivers hoping it will be a dry pair of races rather. No more rain this season. A lot of the drivers will be hoping for, but it is the UK, so let's see whether they are going to be granted their wish or not. A big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in tonight, to everyone who's been chatting along in YouTube. J.E. Smeaton, of course, who hasn't raced tonight, and Nottingham L and Elliot Court for popping in towards the end as they retired, unfortunately, from a very, very attritional League Zero Super Formula Championship round from Spa. Hope to see you all again in 1 week's time from Donington Park, but from myself, Ian Leary and Tim Biggles, it's goodbye from Spa. We'll see you again in 1 week's time from Donington Park for round 7. Goodbye for now.